You know that figure that always appears in horror films, fantasy books, and in some heavy music? Yes, I'm talking about him, Beelzebub. Maybe you know this name and have already felt goosebumps just hearing about it. But who is this Beelzebub guy, anyway? He began his career as a Phoenician god known as Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies. But over the centuries, he went from a fertility deity to one of the most feared demons in Christianity. He is considered the prince of demons and has an important position in hell, being one of humanity's greatest enemies, according to Christian traditions. Nowadays, Beelzebub is also a star in pop culture, always appearing in dark stories as the great villain who tries to corrupt souls and spread chaos. So get ready, because his story is full of twists and mysteries. Part 1. The origins of Beelzebub. Let's start at the beginning, back in the time when Beelzebub was an important figure among the ancient Semitic peoples. Before he became the famous villain we know today, he was known as Beelzebub, or Lord of the Flies. And yes, the name is a little strange, but back then he wasn't the terrible demon that many imagine him to be today. In fact, Beelzebub was a deity of the Phoenicians, a civilization that inhabited the region that is now Lebanon, and he was well respected for his power over fertility and storms. Now you must be thinking, what do you mean a Lord of the Flies was worshipped? Well, flies weren't just seen as a nuisance back then. They symbolized fertility, something crucial for an agricultural society. And this god had nothing to do with the horror movie demons we know today. He was a god of the Philistines in the city of Ekron, a popular guy there. But then behold, the Hebrews appeared, who did not see Beelzebub with the same friendly eyes. To them, this god of the Philistines was a kind of impostor, a rival to the monotheistic beliefs they were trying to establish. Therefore, the Hebrews began to use the name Beelzebub in a pejorative way. It was there that he began to gain the bad reputation that would lead to his transformation into an icon of evil. To make matters even worse, during the translation of Hebrew religious texts into Greek, the name was changed to Beelzebub or Beelzebub. This change was not for nothing. The word Zebub in Hebrew sounds similar to Zebul, which means dung or garbage. So instead of Lord of the Flies, the name came to be interpreted as Lord of the Trash or Lord of Dungera, a very clear way of insulting this foreign deity. Thus, Beelzebub began his journey from a respected god to the evil figure he is today. And that was just the beginning of its long and sinister story. Who would have thought that a fertility god would end up being portrayed as one of the princes of hell, huh? But as they say, history is full of surprises and twists, and Beelzebub was no different. Part 2. Beelzebub in Christianity. Now that we know how Beelzebub began his career as the Lord of the Flies, let's see how he took a leap, or rather a plunge, to become one of the most feared villains in the Christian tradition. Spoiler alert, the transformation was anything but pretty. After the Hebrews started using the name Beelzebub in a derogatory way, his reputation was already somewhat tarnished. But it was with Christianity that Beelzebub's image truly changed for good. He went from being a local pagan deity to one of the main antagonists in the spiritual battle between good and evil. In the New Testament Gospels, Beelzebub appears as the prince of demons. Basically, he was promoted to the elite of hell, except instead of getting bonuses or vacations, his role is to tempt, corrupt, and possess human beings. The first time his name is mentioned is in a discussion between Jesus and the Pharisees. Jesus was performing miracles and casting out demons, and the Pharisees, perhaps a bit jealous, began to say that Jesus was doing this with the help of Beelzebub. A real low blow, let's be honest. Imagine the scene. While Jesus is out there doing good deeds, the Pharisees try to discredit him by suggesting that he's collaborating with the boss of evil spirits. Beelzebub then becomes synonymous with everything corrupt and wicked, something that would help define Christian perceptions of demons in the centuries to follow. He was no longer just any demon. Beelzebub was up there in the infernal hierarchy, almost a CEO of evil. The idea of Beelzebub as the prince of demons didn't stop there. During the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church and writers of demonology made sure to solidify his image as a powerful and dangerous force. The demonological treatises of that time, which were more like travel guides to hell, listed Beelzebub as one of the principal figures of the underworld, often mentioning that he was responsible for overseeing the sins of gluttony and pride. In King James I of England's 1597 demonology, Beelzebub is described as the right-hand man of Lucifer, the archdemon, and supreme leader of demons. Other medieval texts mention that he had a legion of demons under his command, and that he enjoyed causing confusion and disorder in the world of the living. During the witch trials, especially in Europe, Beelzebub was often cited as the master of witches. It was said that he presided over Sabbaths, profane gatherings where witches supposedly made demonic pacts. No wonder he became such a popular figure in tales of witchcraft and horror. And so, over the centuries, Beelzebub established himself as one of the main villains of the Christian tradition. From a simple fertility god of the Phoenicians, he transformed into the feared prince of demons, always ready to cause as much trouble as possible. He's the kind of guy no one would want to meet in the dark, or anywhere for that matter. But first, I need to ask you. Are you enjoying? Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos and leave a like. Part 3. Beelzebub in Popular and Modern Culture. We have reached the final phase of Beelzebub's history, where he transitions from being merely a character in religious and medieval texts to becoming a true star of pop culture. If we ask ourselves how a pagan god became such an iconic figure in movies, books, and even music, the answer is, Beelzebub has a story that resonates, full of symbolism and twists, perfect for telling and retelling. Literature and entertainment. Beelzebub has found a home in the world of literature and entertainment, solidifying his image as one of the most recognized forces of evil. He frequently appears as a cunning and manipulative demon who is not content to be just a side character. He wants the spotlight. It's almost as if he had an agent who managed to get him great roles in various works. In classic literature, he was a central figure in works such as John Milton's Paradise Lost, where he is portrayed as one of Satan's chief lieutenants, participating in a heavenly rebellion against God. Milton describes him as one of the most powerful fallen angels, someone who is always by Lucifer's side, devising strategies to corrupt humanity. In modern times, Beelzebub appears in a variety of fiction books. For example, in William Golding's novel Lord of the Flies, the title refers to Beelzebub and symbolizes the savagery and latent evil in human nature, illustrating how evil can emerge even in seemingly innocent circumstances. Film and television. Film and television have also embraced Beelzebub enthusiastically. In many horror movies, he is often the demon that exorcists face, representing evil in its purest and most terrifying form. Think of films like The Exorcist and Hereditary, where the presence of demons and malevolent forces evokes the fear of spiritual corruption. Even if not mentioned directly, Beelzebub's influence as an archetype of evil is present. In television series, Beelzebub frequently appears in supernatural and fantasy productions. In series like Supernatural and Lucifer, he is portrayed as a powerful figure who, despite being an antagonist, often has undeniable charm and a biting sense of humor, making him an irresistible character. Music and pop culture. And of course, Beelzebub has not been left out of the music world. He was immortalized in songs like Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, where Freddie Mercury sings about having a lurking demon. The song helped cement Beelzebub's image as a symbol of internal conflict and the dark side of the human psyche. Heavy metal and rock bands often use his image and name to evoke rebellion and indomitable force, something that fits well with the provocative aesthetics of these genres. Songs and albums often reference him, creating a mystical and defiant aura that attracts fans worldwide. Video games and comics. In the world of video games, Beelzebub appears as a classic villain. Games like Diablo and Doom do not hesitate to use his name to designate demons and powerful entities. These games often explore the idea of the battle between good and evil, where Beelzebub or his equivalents are formidable enemies that challenge the player to overcome their internal and external darkness. In comics, he appears in universes such as Hellboy and Constantine, where he is portrayed as one of the princes of hell, maneuvering between intrigues and conspiracies to increase his power. These universes often use him to explore themes of morality, choice, and the eternal struggle against evil. Symbolism and modern interpretations. Beyond his role in entertainment, Beelzebub has also become a symbol in contemporary society to discuss the concept of evil and corruption. He is often used as a metaphor for the internal challenges we face, such as greed, pride, and the struggle for power. Beelzebub's image continues to be a means of reflecting on the darker sides of humanity, highlighting how the Prince of Flies fits perfectly into the discussion about human behavior, symbolizing the temptations and choices that each person faces in their lives. And so Beelzebub, who began as a fertility god, found a lasting role in modern culture. From a symbol of terror to a figure of power and intrigue, he continues to capture the imagination and inspire stories that speak of the eternal battles between light and darkness, both within and outside of us. As you can see, Beelzebub is one of those figures that never leaves the stage. And let's face it, he probably prefers it that way. So that's today's video. I hope you liked it. See you in the next story.